I thought we were already recording.
Dollar-A-Day Ep.4. Now we are recording, Dan. Sean Dan, of course, with Jack Flynn. Daddy Dines here. And boys, had 3 episodes leading up to it. We talked our positions, we talked our rankings, we talked who we like, who we love, and we're at the nitty gritty. Maybe a final draft here and there for some of us, but everybody's drafted. We are 2 days away from the start of football. 48 hours from now, we're getting home. We're sitting down. We're opening a beer. We're getting ready for a kickoff of a great game 1 between the Rams and Bills to start us off for this season. But a couple final drafts for all of us here. But how are we feeling, boys? Our main teams are pretty much in, and it's football season.
Hell yeah, I'm excited to take your money, gang. I'm very excited about our draft we just had yesterday. I know a lot of people don't like my team, but I'm playing to win, and I can't wait to take your money.
I wish I was in that league with you guys, but I'm ready to go. I'm pumped. All my teams are set. I got all the guys I want. I got a good mix of all my teams, different guys, different strategies. I'm ready to go. I'm a little bit anxious. You know that game Thursday night is going to be pretty wild. Definitely got some lineups already in, ready to go for that. Just football until February, and from here on out, it's the best time of year.
Yeah, there is nothing better than this. Like I said, we already gave you a lot of our rankings and thoughts on positions. One thing we didn't do is tight end, so we will talk that briefly to start the show today. And while you're all fantasy football, it's still football. It's that time of the year, so we are going to give you our division winners, Super Bowl matchup, MVP. We're going to talk the season as a whole, along with some daily fantasy plays. We'll start giving you guys week by week. Maybe throw some team win totals at you today. There's still a lot we could cover, but like I said, let's dive into the one position we really didn't bring up yet in terms of fantasy before the season starts, and that's the tight end position. I feel like all of us are in a very similar boat where we're not ones to pick tight ends early, reach for them. I mean, if Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews fall to you at the right spot, maybe even Kyle Pitts this year, yeah, maybe. I'm personally a guy that's, picking tight end come round 7, 8, if not even later. Jack, we seen you yesterday. Really, wait, we know you're not going tight end early at all. But with that said, outside of the obvious, that is the Kelseys and Mark Andrews and the Kyle Pitts. Jack, I'll let you go first. Here's some tight ends you like going into the season.
Well, as you saw, Gank, on my last draft, I waited until the second to last pick to get a tight end. As soon as those first 6 guys were off the board, I waited. I think they all kind of have the same ceiling. So the one guy I went with was David Njoku, who's very athletic, and that's kind of something you have to attack at tight end. Athleticism usually wins out, and Njoku is one of those guys. Another guy I kind of really like that's still on the waiver wire is Gerald Everett. And he's one of those athletic guys who has a good quarterback, and it's a great offense. So that's the guy I'm probably going to attack if Njoku doesn't work out, even though I don't really want to tell Gank this because he might claim him. But that's one of the guys I like. Thankfully, he doesn't.
I don't hate Everett. I won't. I don't think I'll be claiming him. I got a tight end I like yesterday in Zach Ertz. Honestly, got your top guys. Dalton Schultz is always a guy I'm kind of planning to get because he's, I think, the last of a crop where you could wait till your 7th or 8th round and get him. But also, depending on what receivers and running backs are there, if I still like some possibility to add depth to my bench at that spot over him, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that all day. But with that said, I'm happy with my Ertz pick. He feels safe. Ceiling definitely seems a little higher the first 6 weeks without D-Hop, but I mean, he's tight end that obviously isn't what he was 2 or 3 years ago, but still shows some consistency. And Cardinals offense, I think he has a chance to get his. And if it wasn't him, Cole Kmet was another guy that was on my board. I think he's, in terms of PPR, just a safe play at tight end. Like I said, at the point I'm going for tight ends, I'm not expecting the huge numbers out of them. If I get a guy that's catching me 6 passes for 60 yards consistently, hitting double-digit points with a touchdown here and there, I'll sign up for that for my tight end all day, every day. And that's something I think you can get from Cole Kmet this season as well, potentially.
Yeah, no, I love Zach Ertz too this year, especially because you can get him in the later rounds. Going into all my drafts, I was planning on waiting to the later rounds to get a tight end. I feel like there's a lot of depth, a lot of value later in the draft. However, in both my drafts, Kelsey fell to me in the third round, and in the third round, I was so happy with my first two picks, I just couldn't pass up. So I actually have Kelsey on two of my teams, which is kind of crazy because it's not what I planned for at all. It's just funny how the drafts work out, how you have a plan going in, and then some people take some guys, and your team is completely different from all your mock drafts. But yeah, I have Kelsey on two of my teams, but some other tight ends I had my eye on was Dallas Goddard. Without Zach Ertz being there, Goddard I think is going to be one of his main targets. Jalen Hurts' main targets besides AJ Brown. I love Goddard. He actually fell to me in the seventh round in my one draft, which I was really pumped about. Some other tight ends. You mentioned Zach Ertz. I had my eye on him, but another guy, one guy I'm really big on as a sleeper. He's actually still available in one of my leagues, and probably in the majority of some fantasy leagues. I would imagine is Irv Smith Jr. on the Vikings. He had some injury issues last year. Came back, in the end of the season strong. I think in that offense he can be definitely a touchdown threat, especially with Tyler Conklin gone now. He's the main tight end. He's the main guy. That offense loves to score points as a late round, filler backup tight end. I don't see any reason with Irv Smith Jr. not having a big year.
There's the guys I like looking into too. I think one tight end, and the tier I was talking about that I wouldn't have mind had grabbing had it been it too is Dawson Knox in that Bills offense. I mean, it's Josh Allen. I think everybody loves everything about him. I think we all know he's very capable of throwing potentially 45, 50 touchdown passes this year. I don't think that would surprise anyone if he does. And if that's the case, well, I'm sure guys like Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis are getting his. I'm sure a tight end somewhere so they get a good number of those as well. So I think Dawson Knox is
Yeah,
another safe pick that you could throw on your team going
Yeah,
tight end.
that's
yeah,
one thing. That's one thing I like to attack is just good offenses. Even though Njoku's on a good offense, another thing I like to attack is open opportunity. And Amari Cooper is the only other receiver there, really. I mean, there's Donovan People-Jones, but I think Njoku could capture a really good target share. So that's the other thing I attack. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry, I cut you off.
no, I was gonna say I love Knox too. He was one guy I was actually targeting, but in every draft he people reached for him pretty early. He went before Goddard. He went before Ertz. So unfortunately I wasn't able to get him there. Maybe I can trade for him if something happens, but he's definitely a guy I'm going to look to play in daily fantasy quite often.
Yeah, he's a guy. Look, I mean, I do have one deep sleeper tight end who I would never draft, but do think he has upside with the new team after not being able to catch the ball with the Giants. I do think Evan Ingram and there in Jacksonville is on a much improved offense. I think there's more opportunity for him there. He kind of, they bring in Christian Kirk and everything, but he used to be the guy at tight end there. He's a guy that'll probably be playing every down, and Trevor Lawrence, still a young quarterback. Evan Ingram is very athletic and get open middle of the field. He was a first round pick not that long ago, and maybe this new team, new offense, new quarterback, something to bring it out in him. Like I said, I'm not drafting him, but he is somebody I'm keeping an eye on because if I like to start to this season, I'll be ready to make a move pretty early on him in the waiver wire.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. He definitely didn't have the best luck with his time with the Giants. Maybe a new team is what he needs. Probably staying away from just anybody in the Jaguar offense as a whole. But I get what you're saying. If God forbid you have some injuries down the line, he could be a filler. That can give you that upside, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, it's a tough position. I think it's the toughest every year. That's why we all feels the same every year. You got your top 4 or 5 guys before a clip falls off anyway. So I never feel the need to reach. Going to the same thing this year, but hey, my teams are picked. My tight ends are in. I'm Dalton Schultz one league, Zach Ertz in the other. I'm actually very happy with both of those guys, and hopefully it works because I'm one to fail at the tight end position year after year because I just don't know what to do there anyway.
Yeah, it's a weird position for sure. The 2 years ago, I drafted Kelsey in the second round, and I actually ended up winning that league. So my experiences with drafting tight ends early has worked out for me, um, which is why I felt confident taking Kelsey, in 2 leagues this year. But at the same time, it's every position that you don't necessarily need to have, a top five, top eight guy to win your league. So if you have, a solid tight end who gets his fair share of targets and can find the end zone once in a while, I think, you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Well, Jack, we got homeboy in our league with Keys that drafts 2 tight ends, and all he's used is one as a trade piece, and it freaking works for him, and it's so fucking annoying. And when I say 2 tight ends, I'm talking Kyle Pitts and George Kittle by like round 5 or 6.
I honestly hate that strategy because that kind of forces your hand. You got to play one of those guys in the flex, and that could just like, what if you have a receiver that's breaking out? And now you're gonna put your 5th round pick on the bench of George Kittle. Like, yes, he trades them, and it's a good trade piece. And since I waited for tight end, I might be one of those guys targeting him for a trade. But still, I just don't like that strategy at all.
He does it.
Yeah, in the first couple. No, go ahead, Shawnee.
No, you got it.
I was gonna say in the first couple of rounds, there's so much skill at the other positions that it's so hard taking one, if not 2. So yeah, I don't love that strategy either.
All right, yeah. Before we get to the season, we want to talk strategy. Now our teams are picked. Jack, I know you want to bring up some in-season strategy you want to talk about. What is the biggest thing you look at, especially when it comes to setting your lineup week in and week out?
So setting your lineup week in and week out, you gotta always take into consideration the Thursday night game. And one of the biggest tips I've seen, and I've also seen other fantasy players not performing correctly. Ignore my dogs. Sorry, they're very very happy about this strategy tip. But the biggest strategy I have is never set one of your flex guys that are playing on a Thursday. Sorry about that. One second.
Go get her.
Dude, he's just really excited. I don't know what to tell you. But the biggest strategy I have is always for a Thursday night guy, don't put him in your flex spot. Like I was saying with the tight end that Keys does, and it forces your hand. Putting your Thursday night guy in the flex spot forces your hand for the week on the Sunday. Like if I have Gabriel Davis playing on Thursday and I put him in my flex spot, but then I also have someone like J.K. Dobbins as my running back and he's not playing, and then I need to put someone else in the flex spot, like it just forces your hand, and it's just not a strong or a smart way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I like that strategy. It's almost like having like a safety net on, your fantasy team. It gives you, the flex is supposed to give you those extra options, to mess around with. So to lock off that position right off the bat and not give your, limit all your options come Sunday, yeah, it's not wise.
There's fucking nothing worse than tinkering with a guy that's playing on Thursday night, and just whether you put him in the lineup or take him or bench him, and the opposite's going to happen. If you put him in, it's going to backfire. If you keep him out, it's going to backfire. That's my least favorite thing about Thursday night football. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it's a great way to set the tone for the week ahead and everything. But, when you're tinkering with that, it does make it very difficult. But Jack, you bring up the point. That's another reason why it's key too. Like, if you are going to play him, fucking play him. Put him in your wide receiver or running back spot, wherever it may be, because the second he does go in that flex spot, what happens? Jack's got his family draft starting. Where are you picking, Jack?
Needed that on because I would have forgot about that shit.
Where are you picking, Jack?
I am picking in the 12th spot.
Oh,
and we'll be hearing some notifications. I'll probably be going Stephon Diggs, and sorry this is happening during the pod, but
no, this is excellent.
I'm gonna let you guys take some picks. Don't fuck it up for me, all right?
You just have to listen to it.
Hey, we're gonna help you build the dream.
I'll let you get your first two, though. I'll let you do your first two alone, but
First two, I don't know about that.
I said I'll let you do your first two, but after
okay.
that, God knows what's coming at you. Oh. All right.
But
Shaq, you got that fantasy to look at?
to get back to the
Go, Dan.
no, I was gonna keep going with the Thursday night game. I was saying, I love having the Thursday night games, but I hate playing players in the Thursday night game in my fantasy leagues. It's such unless they're a stud that is gonna go off and get his. It's kind of like a high risk, high reward thing. You play a guy and they get 2 points. It's like you're already down in the gutter. Like you're already projected to lose. It's like it's pretty much going in, with a couple bullets already on your chest. It's tough to bounce back from. But on the other side, you get out to a 30-point lead and now you're feeling good for Sunday. So I already know I have Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, stacked up ready to go Thursday night, and I'm feeling way too good about it. So it's you win some, you lose some there. But to continue with some strategies, there's Thursday night football and then Monday night football. I have another strategy for Monday night football. So what a lot of people don't know is if a player is on your bench and you don't play him during the week, you can drop them before the week even ends. And you can pick up another player. So what I like to do is I like to pick up a player that's playing on Monday night and drop a guy that I'm already planning on dropping. Chances are that guy I'm picking up on Monday night's not going to do much, and I'm just going to drop him anyway. But if he happens to go off or a key injury happens and now he's the guy, I already have him on my team. I don't need to put in a waiver claim for him. I already have him locked up. So I always look to see who's playing Monday.
Maybe, sneak by and snag. It happened to me a few years ago. I think it was last year, the year before with Van Jefferson, the receiver for the Rams. I picked him up on a Monday night for a guy
I was going to drop anyway. Robert Woods ended up getting hurt. And Van Jefferson jumped in, and he was the number one waiver pickup that week. And I already had him on my roster. It was the steal of the year, and I finessed it perfectly. And honestly, I do it probably 90% of the weeks. I'll pick up somebody that's playing on a Monday night game just for that reason alone. So just another strategy to think about. Something that the rest of your league's probably not even thinking about.
No, probably not. I don't hate that at all either. In your leagues, right? That works. I actually like that strategy a lot. It's worth the dice roll if you're planning on dropping him anyway. You've got nothing to lose.
And if it doesn't work out, if the player you pick up sucks, guess what? You just drop him the next day anyway.
Yeah, that can work
real
out.
quick. Alvin Kamara or Joe Mixon?
Kamara.
Can't you get both?
I can. I was thinking I kind of wanted the receiver though, Stephon Diggs. I think he's gonna have a huge year. But I think the lockup. There's also not receivers board.
There's receivers later on.
Very true. All right, you're right. All right, Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon off the board. Thank you, boys.
That's a league winner right there.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara is falling like I feel like people forgot like how good he is at football. I mean, take away all of the legal issues for a second. If he's on the field playing, he's easily a top 5 running back. This guy catches passes. He's the main workhorse on that offense. He's going to be – who knows what's up with Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara is the heart of that Saints team, and the fact that I got him in the 11th pick and you got him in the 12th pick is just showing that people don't know what they're doing. I'm seeing, in these drafts, Najee Harris is going before him, and it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Yeah, I understand his ADP went down because of the legal issues like during the offseason, but his ADP never went back up. It never adjusted back to where it should have been.
You're that worried too. Like I said, you get Ingram, but I'm with you guys. I feel it seems very likely that any suspension is going to be next year for Kamara. And
by the way, did you know that he didn't even hit a girl? He hit a guy. Yeah. I thought he hit a girl. Who the hell cares if he beat up a dude? Once I heard that, I was like, oh, we're good. We're good. He ain't getting suspended. Like nobody cares about that. Everyone's still, hooked on the whole, Deshaun Watson thing. No, like you punch a dude, it's like, all right, dude, like whatever, it's like you punch a girl, it's like you're shunned from the league, but it's like whatever, dude. You've gone to an elevator fight with another guy. Like, let's get over it and move on.
So I have one more strategy I want to go into is using your IR slot. I would what I did before I wanted to draft Jameson Williams, and then you could just put him in your IR slot and then pick up a guy off the waiver wire, or even Brian Robinson, put him in your IR slot, get another guy.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Just use that IR slot. And I think a lot of people aren't doing that. There's a lot of people in many leagues that don't have people in their IR slot, and that's just a mistake.
Did anybody draft Brian Robinson in our league yesterday?
No, no one did. So go pick him up, put him in the IR slot.
I could drop my kicker and get him right now.
Speaking of that guy got shot twice, and he's like apparently walking already. This guy only got hit with a questionable tag. Like he looks like he's only gonna miss a month.
Dude, he showed up back to campus or whatever like the next day.
If that doesn't just scream league winner, I don't know what does. Because once that guy comes back, he's just gonna be running like a racehorse. And I mean, that's not the Commanders aren't a team I'm very high on, but that guy can make me a fan real quick.
Dude, if I got shot, like grazed my earlobe, I would be out of work for a month. And I don't run right now. I'd be like, oh, milk that. No way I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
Wild.
Jack, coming back up to you?
We got a few picks. It's good picking from the end when you're doing a podcast. One more thing I kind of want to dive into for strategy. I know, Dan, you were saying it's kind of a disadvantage to play people on a Thursday. I think there could be an advantage about that because, like, say you play Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis and they only put up 30 points combined. Now you kind of have to shoot for the moon in your other position, so you could adjust your positions in that way. So, like, say you have a guy like you're deciding between Tyler Lockett of last year, who's so volatile, and a guy like a running back like, I don't know, Devin Singletary or something like that. Like I would pick, if I'm losing, I would pick Tyler Lockett. And now my upside just went that much higher. And now I have a better chance to win instead of playing it safe with Singletary. It kind of gives you a way to pick your lineup for the following couple days.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, there's no really strategy when it comes to when the games are. Such not, but I just prefer to just only play the studs that are playing in Thursday nights rather than like the risky, wide receiver, twos or threes.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, we have a guy in our league, kid picking first, who was able to pair the old Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. To be honest, I was actually praying to see his team this week because I'd rather go against him with that team playing the Rams than probably almost any other matchup they have this year too. But that part's
I already bet on the over. I already took the over in that game, so I'm expecting a shootout.
Well, that's kind of another question. What do you guys feel about stacking for redraft leagues? I love stacking in DFS and best ball, but redraft, how do you feel about that?
I still like the idea of stacking, honestly. Especially when you have higher end guys like that. Like yesterday, we saw with Foosh, when you have the ability to stack Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, I think you take that every single time because odds are it's going to work for you a lot more weeks than not. And if it does, that it's going to lead to wins. So weeks it doesn't work, you take your couple of losses, but I'd roll the dice saying when it's that talented, yes, you take it and run. I think there's certain stacks that you kind of avoid. I'm not reaching for stacks unless it's something big like that, but I don't mind stacking. I've always been a fan of it. And like I said, depending on the quarterback and receiver actual duo, I would never reach for it. I would just kind of, if it fell to me, I'm not going to think twice about passing on it too.
Yeah, so I don't think stacking is necessary to win your leagues, but I definitely think it adds a little bit of an advantage. Taking back to my team 2 years ago, I'll always go back to this team. I'll never forget it because it was the best fantasy football team I ever put together. It was my 2-quarterback league. It was Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs' first year together when they blew up. I had Josh Allen and Kyler Murray as my quarterbacks with Stephon Diggs and D-Hop. I had those two stacks, and I let it ride the whole year, and I never even sweat a matchup. Now, fast forward to this year, my 2 quarterback league, I got Josh Allen again stacked with Gabe Davis, and I waited to get my second quarterback a little bit later than I wanted to, so I got stuck with Tua, but I immediately stacked him with Jalen Waddle, who was still available, which I was actually pretty shocked he was available still. But so I'm trusting the stack this year in my double quarterback league. My other league, I have a stack with Jerry Judy and Russell. So I'm feeling confident about that. It seems like I'm in favor of the stacks this year, though I don't think it's necessary. I do like it. It's definitely something I look for more in DFS plays. I usually will always go for a stack. But fantasy, I feel like it's just like a plus because not everybody's going to have a stack. But if you do have a stack on a bad team that doesn't go off every week, maybe like a Tua and a Waddle, which I'm not that confident about. I'm definitely prefer the stacks like Herbert and Keenan Allen and Josh Allen and Diggs and whatnot. But I think either way, as long as you got the players on your lineup, there's no too much thinking behind it.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you guys say. I would do it for best ball and DFS, but for redraft, I'll just let it fall to me. If it falls to me, I'll take it. I'm not going to reach, but that's it. So, guys, I made picks without you. I went, Gang's going to love this one. Michael Pittman, round 3.
Oh, yes.
And then, so this is kind of a strategy I do with family leagues and leagues where people don't really know what they're doing too much, is I like taking a tight end early. So I took Kyle Pitts in the 4th round, and Kyle Pitts is.
I couldn't hate picks more.
You hate it more? Oh, well, you guys are going to get the next 2 picks, but
to be honest, I like both.
Thank you, Gang.
Like both.
Dude, Kyle Pitts is a receiver that you could put in the tight end slot.
Yeah, well,
up for touchdown regression. He's gonna kill it this year. I'm just telling you.
Listen to the podcast. Everybody knows I love Michael Pittman this year. It was a shot in the dick to me when he went as early as I thought, as early as he did yesterday in our draft. I mean, a lot of wide receivers kept in our draft, but the way it was going, coming back to me with guys like Keenan Allen and Mike Evans still on the board, I thought for sure Michael Pittman was coming my way, and then he just went. But
I hate both those picks just based off of the quarterback play from their quarterbacks. I don't know. I was actually just arguing with one of my good friends, Connolly, I think it was yesterday, about Kyle Pitts, and he's trying to tell me how he's a top 3 tight end in the league already, and he actually ended up betting me that Kyle Pitts would end up as the number 1 tight end for $20, and if anybody else finishes as number 1 tight end, I get $5. So naturally, I jumped all over that bet right away. Even if it's just $5, I can't turn down easy money like that. But Kyle Pitts, I don't. Besides, him only catching 1 touchdown pass last year, and I won't even bring that up again. But if you listen to early episodes, I definitely don't like him. Definitely don't like Michael Pittman either. I think both were ranked ahead of where they should be getting drafted. I want to know what other receivers were still on the board when you took Pittman.
Before I do that, I kind of want to let you guys both make a pick. I have a minute left. So my team right now is Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Michael Pittman, and Kyle Pitts.
Jerry Judy.
Probably use a receiver here.
Jerry Judy.
Jerry Judy is actually off the board.
That's probably about right, though.
So is 12-man league. Jerry Judy's off the board.
Around pick 50 by now, right?
Yep. 49 and 50.
Any of the Charger receivers still there?
No, they're all gone. So we got Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper,
Gabe Davis,
Michael Thomas.
I'm a Chris Godwin guy without thinking twice about that.
Davis.
All right, so Dan's pick is Gabe Davis, 100%.
Gabe Davis.
Love it.
100%.
And then, Gang, so no, you wouldn't want to go any other position. You 100% want to go receiver?
What running backs are there? they just ruined your thunder. I mean, Chris Godwin was easily the better pick there. We'll see that. But
No way! No way! No way!
I think I'm going to get both of them on my team right here because I'm not a huge fan of the running backs that are like close to the board. We got J.K. Dobbins, Darnell Mooney. Oh, no, sorry. J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, Miles Sanders. And then we also got a quarterback we wanted to reach for Lamar Jackson, but I think I already know Gank's pick.
No, go Godwin. You got Godwin now. No need to reach for Lamar Jackson. You can get Russ in your next swing, someone like that probably. So
I love it. All right, we got a while for the next picks. Sorry, I had to cut you off. You wanted to ask what receivers were there? I don't know exactly what receivers were there, but all the Chargers receivers were there. The Denver receivers were there.
well, you're fine at receiver now. You got 2 loaded running backs. I think you've worked on that running back depth and maybe get best quarterback available once it comes back around to you.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's dive into the division winners, right? That's what's next on the list.
Yeah, let's get into the season. Like I said, I'll step away from fantasy for a little here, but this is still it's fucking football. So we're gonna tell you what teams we got winning the division because I'm sure there's some obvious ones here. There's some mix-ups. I'm gonna let you guys get into this. I'll go pretty quick and then let you guys do your division talks. I mean, I talked BS Show podcast last week, went through my division winners. I'll hold out on the Super Bowl right now till we get to it. And then I'll let you guys break down your division winners. So if you want the quick one from me, I took the Eagles from the NFC East. I just think they had the best roster. Hopefully Jalen Hurts could take that step up. I did go with the chalk and the Bucks in the NFC South. Chalk with the Packers in the NFC North. And as much as I was torn about it, I'll take the Super Bowl champs to go win the NFC West. As for the AFC East was easily the Bills for me. The AFC South, this team I'll get into more after you guys go through it too, because I love this team this year. That's
Indeed.
the AFC North, I went back to Baltimore Ravens. Hopefully Lamar can stay healthy. And in the AFC West, the best division in football, the most fun division in football this year, I think Russ was a missing piece for that Broncos, and I took them to win that division.
Go ahead, Dan.
All right. I'll take the reins here. So, starting off in the NFC, we'll start off with the NFC East. I think there's only 2 teams that could possibly win this division. It comes down to the Eagles and Cowboys. I like the Cowboys this year just because everybody else hates the Cowboys. I normally don't like the Cowboys, but when people start to gang up on them, kind of just feels like they might make a run this year. But I did pick the Eagles instead to win the division just because I feel like they have the better overall team at every position. The Eagles do a really good job at filling each position with just decent players. You know what I mean? They don't have any really holes in their team. So I like the Eagles there. NFC West, I'm going to stick with the Packers. I can't go against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this guy takes psychedelics and still goes out and wins MVP. So it's pretty wild. So I'll stick with the Packers there. Head down to the north. I'll go chalk and I'll take the Bucks in what looks to be Tom Brady's last season. It'd be hard to see them not in the playoffs. Division's not as weak as past years, but I think Tom Brady still finds a way to get it done. And in the NFC South, I might have a little bit of surprise here. I liked what this team did in the offseason. They were actually one of my picks to go to the Super Bowl last year before some of their offseason drama. But the Cardinals, I love this year, especially once they get D-Hop back. I think that offense can be lethal. People give a lot of shit to Kyler Murray saying he's not the guy, but I think he's about to end all that conversation this year and just shut everybody up, show that he's worth the money, and beat out the Super Bowl champs, the Rams, for the division. Heading over to the AFC East, as much as I would like to put the Jets in there, it's the Bills division. The Bills are the best team in football this year. They got the best quarterback. They got one of the top defenses. They're just going to be they shouldn't show any worry throughout any point of the year. AFC North, you said the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens stay healthy enough full year. I'm going to stick with the Bengals. They showed me a lot. They surprised me last year. They fixed the offensive line. If Deshaun Watson wasn't going to get suspended, I would say maybe you can make a case for the Browns, but I'll go chalk and I'll pick Bengals there. And for the South, I'll go Colts. Got to stick with chalk. Got a great running game. Brought in Matty Ice to kind of just manage that offense and minimize all the mistakes that they made last year. I think they can get to the playoffs and make a deep run. And last but not least, like you said, the best division in football. You can make an argument that all these teams can win the division, yet alone make the playoffs. But, oh man, and this one was hard. I'm going to go with the Chargers just because I think they have the most explosive offense. I love their defense too with Joey Bosa leading the way. That division's up in the air, though. Literally anybody can win. So I'll pick the Chargers for now. Jack, what are you thinking? Before I jump into my wild card teams, what are you thinking?
I'm going to rip through mine a little quick. NFC East, I got the Eagles. What Gang said, if Jalen Hurts takes a step up, it's theirs. Easy. West, I went with the Niners. If Trey Lance could do what he could do, it's there, but it's going to be tough to get the Rams. South, I went with the easy pick, the Bucks. The one thing with the Bucks is I don't know if Tom Brady's really there to play. I don't know. And then their offensive line's taking some injuries. We'll see. The North, I went with the Vikings. I think they could easily take this division. I think Justin Jefferson could take another step up from what he did last year, which is insane to say. Their defense looks good too. East, I went with the Jets, Jets. Just kidding. The Bills, obviously. The South, I went with the best receiver, so the Colts, obviously, with Michael Pittman there. The North, I went with the Bengals. I think if they keep passing the ball like they did at the end of the stretch, they'll do well. And then for the best division in the league, I went with the Chargers. I like their offense. I like Justin Herbert, and I just think they could take the league. Like you guys said, you could take any team there and make an argument for it, but yeah, I like the Chargers.
I mean, you guys picking the Chargers, I can't even bash that. Like I said, I love the addition of Russ there with Denver. That's why I went there. Honestly, I do have the Chargers finishing second. To be honest, they were the team I would probably pick over Denver if Denver doesn't win this division, and I think this puts the Chiefs in trouble for even making the playoffs, even though I do think 3 wildcard teams out of that division is very likely. But when you look at the defenses on paper, the Chargers do have the best defense in that league, that division. I mean, I think that division, every time there's a matchup, I think it's fun. Shootout needs to be primetime football every time, and you're going to see, 55 to 60 plus point games, no matter who's playing who, no matter where it's at. I think they get that a lot, but I do trust the Chargers defense maybe the most in that division, so I don't hate that pick for them winning it. Like I said, they're my number 2 behind Denver. I think the Chiefs should be the team fighting for third and, maybe that final wild card spot.
Yeah. No, I'm really high on Denver this year too. The only thing that worries me is that chemistry going to be there right away? Guys like Herbert Herbert, Carr, Mahomes, they've been playing, with these guys for a while now, and they already had that chemistry built up. So if there is one team I see taking a year to get to that point, it is Denver. I'm not saying they're not going to, make the playoffs or anything like that, but, maybe next year could be the year that they make it more of a Super Bowl push per se. I definitely see potential of all teams in that division making the playoffs, which is wild. The only thing that worries me is, I don't know if you looked at that division schedule, but it's the best division in football is also playing in the hardest schedule in football. So part of me thinks they might just beat up on each other, and who knows, maybe one of the two of these teams gets, skimmed from the playoffs. I think the Chiefs out of all 4 teams are in the most trouble, which is crazy to say. And one of my biggest hot takes of the offseason is the Chiefs missed the playoffs this year. And just because that division in the AFC as a whole is just so tough. There's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 good teams that miss the playoffs this year. And even when you have teams like the Steelers who haven't had a losing season in over 15 years, you can't even count them out of anything. And it's just the NFL as a whole, I feel like is evening out more than ever. I feel like this is the most even the league has ever been in my lifetime. Besides the Bills being, the top dog, you can make a case for all the teams that we just mentioned to make a Super Bowl push, and that's what you got to love about the NFL and where we're going, in today's game. So yeah, who do you guys think for the wild? Who's your guys' wild card team?
Before we get into that, I want to interrupt with this amazing family draft.
God.
So I don't have a quarterback left
Actually,
yet, and one of my picks is 100% going to be my boy Trey Lance. Sorry, boys, but
You just ruined such a good team.
But I'm going to let you two debate between my second pick. I got DeAndre Hopkins here and Kadarius Toney.
I'm going to use my debate for not drafting Trey Lance.
All right, go for it. Debate it. Tell me why. Yeah. What quarterback do I get instead?
Who else is there?
Aaron Rodgers.
There's more there. Don't you?
It's Aaron Rodgers.
I know Derek Carr is there, and you don't want to tell me right now.
I don't. He's not even close to being on the board. Here, wait. Let's see. I got 30 seconds left for this pick. No, Derek Carr has been picked.
All right, get your boy Trey Lance, and then take.
I'd probably just get running back. Yeah.
Running back is gone almost.
Yeah, get Tyler Algier.
So yeah, D-Hop.
So D-Hop or Kadarius Toney?
I would say D-Hop. D-Hop is good because he comes back when the bye weeks start. You don't even need to worry about him because you don't have to deal with any bias until he comes back.
I like where your receivers are at. I understand potential upside with Toney this year, but your receivers are strong to begin with, and you're only going to add another piece that is strong once he returns from suspension. So I think that's the way you go.
Yeah. Plus, once he comes back, he can fill the hole that Michael Pittman is causing him.
All right, I like it. D-Hop is on the squad.
I can't wait for Pittman to go off week 1 against Houston.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's get to these wild card teams here, though. To be honest, I forget my exact wild card teams I picked on the BS show. Ain't gonna matter once it gets to my Super Bowl pick, but I may be off by 1 or 2 here. My mind may have changed in the week going into it. But one thing I do know going the NFC, Jack, you had the Vikings winning the division. I did have them sneaking into the wild card as well, making the playoffs. I do think that division alone, Green Bay owns that division, but Minnesota is better than the Lions and Bears. There's 4 wins there, and Kirk plays well, and he'll find a way to win some games. So always a big one, the primetime one that he blows, but he'll win enough games where I think, especially with 7 teams making the playoffs, he'll get in. I have Dallas borderline, but I'm kind of fading them this year. I think that might have been one team I picked on the BS show that I'm starting to fade making the playoffs this year. I'm going to go to another team that Jack put in the 49ers, just with that coaching and defensive loan, like Shanahan, that defense, their ability to run the ball, how well they run the ball. It's just a perfect formula in the NFL. It usually works to get into the playoffs, and it works for deep playoff runs, as we've seen. So I had the 49ers in as well. And last but not least, my wild of the wild card here is taking outside shot. I think the Saints maybe could get in. Michael Thomas back. I'm not expecting old Michael Thomas, but he definitely helps. Chris Olave helps that offense. Jameis really wasn't the worst for them before he got hurt last year. And while I think their defense did regress a little, I still don't think it's that bad. And they play in a division where I also think they can win some games. They've owned the Bucks last year, so maybe could even steal a couple more. And like I said, 7 teams making the playoffs. I'll have the Saints getting in the back door there. I guess I gotta go AFC now. AFC is very easy. I'll go back to our favorite division. I'll give you 2 right off the bat. The Chargers. And when it's all said and done, Dan, I don't hate it. I do think the Chiefs can miss the playoffs, but I'm not going to give you 7 playoff teams and not have the Chiefs in it. So those are 2 right there. And the third and final, I went to the AFC North and took the Bengals. Super Bowl run last year. Do think they kind of take a step down. With that said, that's nothing against them. I'm sure Burrow will be back in that game, probably more than once in his career too, especially with that young team they have there. But I still like the Ravens a little more this year, but the Bengals will get in as a wild card.
I kind of have similar picks as far as the NFC wild cards. I went with Cowboys. I think Cowboys and Eagles are neck and neck all year for the division. I think whoever doesn't win the division gets in the wild card. Vikings, I love too. I almost put them as my division winner, but I just couldn't go against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers defense this year. I do love the Vikings this year. And then I put in the Rams. I don't think they're going to win the division. The division is hard. I like Stanford too, but there's just too many questions with Trey Lance at the quarterback. Do we end up switching to Jimmy G too late? I don't know. I know Jack loves Trey Lance. He's investing a little bit too much in him this year, maybe. But I think the Rams, can at least pull off a playoff spot. In the AFC, I didn't want to put all 4 teams in the AFC West in the playoffs because of
that. The chances of that happening are just very slim. So I left out the Chiefs. I put in the Raiders. The Raiders surprised me last year, and I think they're going to continue to surprise other people. With Devontae Adams, that offense just got that much better. The defense might not be there, but the Raiders are just a team that stays in games and fights. They went through so much last year with their coach and all this off the field issues that they were able to fight through that and make the playoffs last year. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to make the playoffs this year. And a team that I really didn't love to throw in the playoffs, but I can't ignore what they did in the offseason, is the Dolphins. I think that their division isn't the strongest. They don't play the strongest schedule. They're a team that, shows that they can get hot and go, be streaky. And I don't know. That's kind of just my pick to just not pick the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised to see all 4 of those teams, in the wild card, in the playoffs, rather. So it's NFL though. Anything can happen. It's the whole fun of it. Who you got, Jack?
So I'm gonna interrupt again with this amazing family league. So I'm in need of a running back. So this is gonna be a conversation for late running backs because almost all of them are gone here. So we're looking at guys like Raheem Mostert.
Tyler Algier
is there. All right. I like it. And then we got Brian Robinson, JD McKissick, Kenneth Gainwell, Darrell Henderson, which would probably be my other pick.
I would say Darrell Henderson for sure.
Safe.
I like Henderson because honestly, he could start Thursday.
Yeah.
Is Cam Akers playing?
I hate Cam Akers, honestly. That guy.
Me too. He was the guy I wanted to kill. Wasn't marrying or fucking around with that guy. All right.
My issue is I don't hate Cam Akers. I like his ability. I do hate how early he's going. I don't think he deserves to be at his ADP where he is.
Yeah, and coming off the
I would say him and Henderson are probably, I wouldn't say A1. I would probably say 2A, 2B backs. Yeah. And the fact that Akers was going 8 rounds earlier than him is a joke.
That's what I mean. Akers ADP feels to be in the 4 or 5 range round. His ADP was around.
People were reaching for him in the 4th, 5th round.
Yeah. If his ADP was around 9, all of a sudden you look at that, that feels like a good value. That feels like the right pick. But the fact that it's that much higher than it is, I just want nothing to do with that.
So I think I could get Algier later because he's way down on the board, and these people don't really know who Algier is. So I think I'm
you
gonna
get
go.
Henderson. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Henderson, but now I need to go receiver. I think I know where Dan would stand with Joshua Palmer's there, Sky Moore, Jarvis Landry, Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker.
You just get Brian Robinson. Fuck receiver.
No, Robbie Anderson. Did I say Brian Robinson?
No, I'm saying, do we just get Brian Robinson anyway? I feel like you're fine at receiver.
True. I got people coming. But I don't think there's an IR slot for this league.
Is James Cook available?
Nah.
Definitely not.
Is Madison available?
Honestly, I am just going with Tyler Algier if I find him. Auto pick, son of a whore. Every time. Every time. Who do we get for auto pick? Let's see. I got Michael Gallup, which is great when I don't have an IR slot.
That's actually not that bad.
That's
not that bad.
All right.
You can't be missing that much time. I don't think it's more than the first few weeks of the season. He's not on the pup, right?
No, I think he's just out this week. Maybe.
That's what I mean. And once he's back, once he's back, he could very well just be that wide receiver too on that team.
Very, very true. Yeah. All right. So we were talking about the divisions. What are we talking about? Wild card, right? Wild card. All right. So since I picked the Niners, you got to go with the reigning Super Bowl champs. So I got the Rams making the playoffs. And then I actually do have the Cowboys as well. I think what Dan was saying had a lot of valid points. I think the Cowboys will squeeze in there. And then I'm going to have to go with Green Bay as much as I like to fade Aaron Rodgers, as Sean knows. But they're going to make it for sure. And then I'm going to I think I'm copying Dan here with Denver and LA. Or no, I already have LA making it. Sorry, I have Denver and Las Vegas. I think they're both going to make it, and Kansas City misses. I don't believe in Patrick Mahomes this year. As you guys know, he's not in my top 5 quarterbacks. And then if I have to pick another one, I guess I got to go with the Ravens with one of the MVPs as a quarterback, and their defense is really good. Baltimore Ravens are going to squeeze in there as well. So those are my picks. I feel a lot more strongly about the Chargers, and they're definitely going to win the division is my strong take on the AFC.
It scares me how much we all kind of just downgraded the Chiefs right there, because now they're probably just going to come out and tell me the Chiefs aren't.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had them as like the last team in the AFC almost. You guys had them missing the playoffs.
It's their win total is pretty high too, if I remember. Definitely not a big fan of the Chiefs this year. Not to say they can't get back on the horse. All they're really missing is a key receiver, and they're back. But yeah.
When you have a
speaking of team totals,
receivers are replaceable when you have quarterbacks like Mahomes. But we want to do team totals before we do MVP and Super Bowl, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe throw out some, teams. I was looking into this earlier, and 3 jumped out to me. And it's the Jets over 5.5 games. I think the Jets take a big leap this year. They're not gonna make the playoffs, but to get more than 5 wins, come on. This is Zach Wilson now we're talking about. This guy's gonna come back. The schedule eases up at the end. I think they can get 5 wins alone in like the last, month or so of the season. So. Jets over 5.5 wins. And then I love both the Cowboys and Eagles to hit their over totals of over 9.5. I think that division is the weakest division in football. I think that those schedules are the weakest schedules in football. I can see them hitting their over totals just off of the weak teams in their schedule alone. So I think that's just easy money. And if we're just going to throw out a quick under total, the Washington Commanders over under totals at 8.5. I don't see them getting 9 wins or anywhere close to it. I don't even think they're going to get 7 or 8 wins. I'm not a big believer in Carson Wentz. I think there's too many questions at running back. Receivers are kind of all over the place. Too many questions on defense. I don't even see them getting close to 8 wins. So I'm taking the under on the Washington Commanders too.
Yeah, well, the Eagles team total over is one of my favorite total bets of the year. Like that was definitely one. That was one I had written down. That was one I was given. I love that number. You said it. I'm fan of the NFC East. I know what their schedule looks like. It is not tough this year. It's almost a reason why I think the Giants could actually win 7 or 8 games this year, and I won't be shocked because the schedule they have is that easy. With that said, the NFC East.
Once Tyrod.
Fuck Tyrod. The NFC East is playing that AFC South, and I'm going to go right back to my Colts team here. I'm going to take them over 9.5 games. I think the Colts are going 6-0 in their division. I think they could almost sweep the NFC East, to be honest. I think I'm looking at the Colts schedule. I'll get more into the Colts later. Don't you all worry here. But Colts are even lucky enough to get the Eagles at home, too, when playing the NFC East. So that's one that they could steal there. Maybe a road game at Dallas, maybe the only one I see them losing in that. And maybe they lose one in their division, but even if that's the case, they go 3-1 against the NFC East, 5-1 in their division. They're looking at 8 wins right there. And only need 2 more to hit that. I'm going to give you one under. I'm staying in the same division here. I'm fading the Titans big time this season. And their number's at 9.5. I'm going to take the under that. I do think this team probably will fight around 500, but I don't see any way where this team is winning 10 games. Granted, I know the NFC East ain't the best, but I do think, like I said, I think the Colts are that much better. I think the Colts can beat them twice. I do think teams like Dallas and Philly could beat them, and Tennessee reaching 10 wins in a year that I've been fading them all year going into it seems incredibly high for me. So I'll take their under 9.5.
I like it.
Those
I'm about to interrupt again for the Family Football League.
We're timing this perfectly.
We are. I just became on the clock. I got 1 minute and 30 for my first pick. I bet you this family hates me for.
I would get a backup quarterback.
I don't know how to take that, but okay. I actually was looking at them. We got Trevor Lawrence or Tua, and then there's Daniel Jones and Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz,
Zach Wilson. I would say either Tua or Zach Wilson.
So you take Tua and Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence?
I'd take Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah, my picks are between Trevor Lawrence and Tua. I love Zach Wilson just because I'm a Jets fan, but I don't have that much faith.
Well, maybe you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And Zach Wilson,
I would say Tua. I don't love. I just stay away from anybody on the Jaguars. I don't think I've ever owned anybody on the Jaguars in any of my fantasy teams ever.
I think I have Maurice Jones-Drew way back in the day.
Never even had him. Never even had him.
All right, Tua it is.
Actually, no, I lie. I took Blake Bortles one year.
Oh, the fucking fourth quarter hero. Fucking Jags would be down by 30, and Bortles would just sling 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and make the game look close.
I went
swinging tutties and ripping sticks.
I went Tyler Algier with the other pick, but I'm gonna get into my win totals here. I got the Jets, as Dan was saying, at 5.5. That's actually one of the most bet over unders in the league right now. And then I also agree with.
I bet it 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's the highest bet win total.
Their schedule is fucking brutal. They're not winning 6 games.
I think they will. The schedule is brutal in the first half. The second half's not nearly as bad. But since we're talking about schedule, the Eagles' schedule is so easy this year. They're rated the top easiest schedule. So I have them over 9.5, and I'm all in on Jalen Hurts this year. So if he takes a step forward, that's easy. And then I didn't go with the over for this one. I actually went with the under. Green Bay. I actually think they're going to go under 10.5. I think they win 10, maybe 9 games. I have them making the playoffs, but just squeezing into the playoffs, to be honest. I don't know about Aaron Rodgers. He's just all like, I don't know what the hell's going on with that guy. You see him on Instagram and Twitter.
He was saying this for 2 years, and the only thing he's done is go out and win MVPs.
Yeah, but when he wins MVP, he only finishes as like quarterback 4 or 5. So for fantasy purposes.
But I have quarterback 4 or 5 in a 2-quarterback fantasy league. Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Probably the one year I made a mistake when I took him in the 6th round. He threw 48 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, but now he doesn't have Devontae Adams, who catches like 20 of those touchdowns. So we'll see. We'll see.
Rodgers' numbers are identical.
Every year
his numbers were identical in games Devontae Adams missed compared to games he played. If anything, they were actually slightly better.
Yeah, small sample size.
It is, but I'm just saying.
Every year, Rodgers finds a new plant and like does even better. Like this guy just finds new drugs and just breaks his previous records.
Yeah.
It's honestly pretty mind blowing.
Dude, the guy trips balls and slings hoodies. How can you hate him?
He's a wild card, that's for sure. I don't hate him. I don't know.
I can't wait to see the documentary that come out on him in a few years. It's definitely gonna be really good.
He literally trips balls and slings studies. That's the dream.
What we got next? MVP?
Yeah, we'll do MVP and then we'll get to the Super Bowl. My MVP, I'll go first. I'm gonna take chalk. I'm gonna go quick here. He's fucking due to get it. Give me Josh Allen in Buffalo. Super Bowl favorite for a reason. Best team. Going to be an electric offense. I said it earlier, kind of talking, though. I'm expecting 45, 50 touchdown passes from him. Would not shock me this year. And that Bills team has been on the come up. They're still going to be very good. And just give me him as the MVP. It's chalk, but I have no reason to think different this year.
Yeah, being a Jets fan and watching that AFC East my whole life, I've learned to accept and appreciate greatness when it's in front of me. And Josh Allen is the next great quarterback. This guy has MVP written all over him. MVP for the season and probably Super Bowl MVP this year. I'm that high on the Bills. You just can't hate what they're doing up there in Buffalo. And it's Bills' year. It's the Bills' year. They're way long overdue. And as a Jets fan, I hate to admit it, but I'll be rooting for them.
Jack. Go ahead, Jack. Piss us off.
So my guy is not at all. He's not chalk. My guy is at plus 2,500. And you both hate him. Dan, take a guess.
Oh, man. Quarterback?
Yep.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Is it Trey Lance?
Oh, it's Trey Lance, baby. So I think Trey Lance could do what Lamar Jackson did the one year, where he came out of nowhere and he won MVP. All those rushing yards, all those passing yards, and he was a part of a great offense. And that's my bold projection is Trey Lance got the MVP. And I'll bet $10 on it and win $250. So it'll be nice.
It's honestly worth a shot. And like, damn, right before you hopped on, whenever you were deleting your emails, I had to reset the link. Like Jack told me that. And when you do look at it, guys like Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes and their MVP years, like, there's a pretty similar spot to where Trey Lance is right now. But at the same time, the teams they were playing for had confidence in those guys. I have yet to see the Niners actually show confidence in Trey Lance, though, and that's still the one thing that
they were trying to trade Garoppolo away, man. They were trying, but they showed their hand, and everyone's like, "No, we're not going to pay. We'll wait till you cut them." And they're like, "Okay, screw you. We'll save them because that's actually the smart thing to do, just in case Trey Lance doesn't pan out." I'm not all in on Trey Lance, but I am at the same time, if that makes sense.
That he's going to be MVP.
We'll see.
All right, Jack.
I can't argue. I'm the dumbass that sprinkled MVP money on Alan Lazard.
I don't think that's ever happened. Even Cooper Kupp didn't win MVP last year, and he had the most amazing season ever.
Yeah, but when you trip balls and sling tutties, you win.
Yeah, I might have been a little high.
All right.
But,
With that said, I did my Super Bowl on the BS show last week. So I'll bring it out again here because this is a call's reaction from the two of you. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of already regretting the one part of it, but the other part I'm all in on. And first, my team out of the NFC, which I'm really starting to fade. But at the same time, maybe that's why I like it so much. Why not for one last ride with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Their defense could stay somewhat playing well, playing good. It is a very weird all season with Tom Brady. Already injuries on the offensive line at center. God knows what's going on, but I also questioned it when he came to Tampa Bay. And while he came to Tampa Bay, I figured, yes, they'll win some games. I mean, they won 8 games with Jameis the year before. I figured he would help get a couple more wins, get to the playoffs, but that's as far as he would go. And proved me wrong as he took it all the way to his Super Bowl run. So I'm not trying to have him prove me wrong again, even though I don't love it. Feels like a story. Give me that. And here's how I get crazy, because my AFC champion and your Super Bowl winner this year, and you guys are that hate this, but I love this team's defense. Their schedule is cake. You look at their schedule, you can count 12, 13, maybe even 14 wins, which could be enough for a 1 seed and home field throughout in the AFC. And the Indianapolis Colts have all the fucking pieces to get that job done. They run the ball well. Their defense is so much better than what they get credit for. And Matt Ryan is not going to do what Carson Wentz did last year by losing to the Jaguars twice and costing them a playoff spot. Matt Ryan has been here. He's made that push for the Super Bowl before losing to Brady. But this year, Brady gets older. Matt Ryan with arguably the best team he's probably been with, other than that one Super Bowl team he took with Atlanta to the Super Bowl. I think this is the best roster he's had around him, if not even better than that roster. I know he's getting older, but he's got a guy he can trust in Jonathan Taylor, hand the ball off of that offensive line. They have all the pieces. Colts are my surprise. It's the bold take, but give me them to win the Super Bowl.
You just love your Indianapolis
That's a cute
Colts.
little
He just loves him.
Yeah.
He just got a hard on for Michael Pittman. He thinks Michael Pittman's cute, and now he's all in love with the Colts. I'm big on Michael Pittman, but I'm not trying to fuck him.
I married him anyway. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I think the Colts have a great team. I think the Colts have a great team. It's just that AFC is just stacked. I would take any team in the West over the Colts. I would take the Bills, obviously, over the Colts. Bengals. It's just the AFC stacked. If the Colts win the NFC, I would say, yeah, sure. I can see them going on a Super Bowl run.
The only tough part of the
Colts
schedule. The only tough part of the Colts schedule is they do get the AFC West. So we're going to learn throughout the season how they play against these as well, too.
They are.
Yeah, we'll definitely learn a lot about the Colts. I think it definitely comes down to Matt Ryan. As we've seen, he doesn't always have the ice in his veins that he's known for having. I like the Colts. I don't love the Colts. My Super Bowl teams, obviously I put the Bills in. I'm running pretty high on the Bills this year. I have a lot of money on them just to make it to the Super Bowl. And now this is a team I correctly predicted last year to fall short of the Super Bowl when a lot of people had them in. The Bucks were a team that a lot of people, just penciled in there as chalk last year, but
It was descending and seeing his way out. Then he retired, and I was like, all right, never have to deal with him again. And then he came back, and I'm like, fuck. Now this guy's playing with some heat on
him. And the NFC is weak compared to the AFC. I think the Bucks, if they do stay healthy, why not, give Tom Brady one more shot at the Super Bowl? I mean, I don't want to see it either, but the guy is the greatest quarterback to ever live. And if he's going to give the season one more shot, he's definitely going to give the Super Bowl one more shot. So I got Bills, Bucks in my Super Bowl with the Bills winning. But anything can go in this age of the NFL. But the the Colts are the one team I don't see winning.
So my pick's a little bold as well. So I'll go the NFC first because my AFC is a little more bold. I got the Rams repeating, coming back to the Super Bowl. Their defense is so good. As long as Matt Stafford's elbow is safe, then I think they could easily clean up. It's going to be the Rams and Tampa Bay. We'll see who gets there. But then for the AFC, I have the Chargers actually making it to the Super Bowl. If Herbert and that offense could stay slinging it, they're going to be right up there. And I actually have them winning it at plus 1,400. $100 to win $1,400. I like it. And I think they could do it. Honestly, anyone from the AFC West could do it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
It's weird because the Rams, like, I feel like people already forgot the Rams won the Super Bowl last year. They feel so forgotten coming into the season. Bringing the same team back, if not even maybe a little better on offense when you're bringing in a guy like Allen Robinson to run Cooper Kupp. And it's just crazy to me how they won the Super Bowl last year and almost feel forgotten about coming into this year because I think they're very capable of repeating. That would not shock me at all.
And then Cam Akers healthy too. Their offense got a lot better, even though I don't like Cam Akers, but he
you hate him
definitely helps
fantasy
the offense.
life. You don't hate him as a person.
Yeah. You don't hate the player, you hate the ADP.
But being drafted in the 4th or 5th round when you should be going round 10 that's where it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
But all right.
Do we have time to get into some DFS options this week?
I think we can run them pretty quickly. Yeah, we can do this because, like I said, I mean, we come into this now. It's football season, boys. We got different matchups, different games every week, and daily fantasy is a play. So, best way for us to close out this show every week, we'll talk some DFS plays. Look at FanDuel. Probably those prices. Try to give you our favorite quarterback to play. We'll give you high salary running back, mid salary running back, sleeper running back, same thing at receiver, and a tight end that we like. Anybody got their people down? They know where they want to go.
I'm ready to go. I've been ready to go for weeks. I've been making lineups since they pretty much became available. $4 millionaire moneymaker in FanDuel too. So get as many lineups as you can. You're not going to see any $4 entries, throughout the rest of the year. I think I already have 30 lineups in, and I'll probably have another 20 in come Sunday. I'm addicted to this. DFS is where I thrive. I made a lot of money these last few years. Created a lot of enemies with my friends these last few years. I've gotten kicked out of FanDuel leagues for being accused of cheating and all the above.
And family leagues.
So I'm ready to go.
And family leagues, yeah.
I create some foes when it comes to fantasy sports. They hate me because they ain't me. So I'm gonna jump right in. Quarterback week 1, and this is a fat slate week 1. 1 o'clock. The main slate, the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock games. There's a lot of high scoring offenses that are facing off. So week 1, I think you just have to have a quarterback in one of these high scoring games. Herbert, Kyler, Derek Carr. These games are all going to be, in the 30, 40s, possibly. I think they all hit their over in point totals. So as long as you have one of those quarterbacks, personally, I like Carr because he's the cheapest out of all 3. If you're looking for a sleeper quarterback, though, somebody, really far down the line that you can build the rest of your lineup around, Mitch Trubisky, I love week 1. Bengals corners are I'm pretty sure Eli Apple is their best corner still. I don't know if you've seen him play, but he can't guard me. He probably couldn't guard me.
Talking to the Giants fan here, I know everything about Eli Apple.
yeah. Sean, you know better than me. So the Steelers still have great receiving core. It seems like Najee Harris isn't the healthiest coming into the season, so maybe they rely more on the pass. I think they're losing early in this game, so they're going to have to pass a lot. Mitch Trubisky at 6,400 could be a great quarterback to build your lineup around, a guy that probably a lot of guys aren't going to have in their lineups. Moving down to running back, there's a lot of good there's
I
a lot of
know
good
where
value
you're
here.
going with this one.
You already know how I'm going. It's a guy I've been drafting first in all my leagues. This guy's is just getting slept on already. Alvin
To be honest,
Kamara,
this might be the best value you get him at all year too in FanDuel.
absolutely. In a game against Atlanta, this game's going to be high scoring alone. They're going to look to get him the ball early. He's way cheaper than guys like McCaffrey, Henry, Eckler. So Kamara is the first guy I'm throwing in all my lineups. And right below him is also DeAndre Swift, who I think is going to have a big week one. That's another team that's looking to get their running back going early. I think that could be a high scoring game, a little back and forth. Swift could see a lot of action in the passing game. So Kamara and Swift, I think, are cheaper options in the top tier guys that will be fine. If we are looking at the top tier guys, you take guys like Mitch Trubisky, you have money for, the Derrick Henrys, Christian McCaffreys. I love Eckler this week if I can afford him. I think that game, is the highest scoring game of the week. Eckler, big Eckler guy this year in DFS. If you're looking for a sleeper and running back, personally, I don't think you need it. AJ Dillon holds a lot of value at 6,100 though. He's essentially a starting running back at that price, and I think the Packers lean heavy on the run during this game. So AJ Dillon, I love. Moving down to wide receivers real quick. I'm going to stick in the $6,000 range here. I don't love all the top receivers in this slate. Sure, Devontae Adams is there if you're gonna pay up, but I'm sticking with guys like Hollywood Brown, Juju, Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, Adam Thielen. They're all in the $6,000 range that you can take 3 of those guys and be perfectly fine. Alan Lazard might not play now, which could fuck me in a few fantasy leagues. I have him in like well over 50% of my lineups right now. May have to switch him out. But if you're looking at like guys like Mike Williams, who's $800 less than Keenan Allen, they're essentially neck and neck, in my opinion. I would definitely take Mike Williams instead of paying up. Juju has a lot of value being there as well. Adam Thielen, it's just all guys that are on explosive offenses that can explode week one. But if you're looking for sleepers in the receiving core, I mentioned Lazard might be out, so you can find a lot of value in Sammy Watkins, Cobb, and this guy Dubes. I might be saying his name wrong. Dobes.
I think it's Dobbs. I think he came out and said it was Dobbs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue to just call him Doobie this whole year.
I like that.
He had a lot of connections with Aaron Rodgers, in the few games he played in preseason. They have a lot of hope for him. It seems like they're going with like a wide receiver committee, so it's kind of just pick your poison. You might have to get lucky on these guys week to week. But Cobb and Doobie sitting there around $5,000, great building pieces. I only really like them. I only like them if Lazard is out, though. I will play some Sammy Watkins with Lazard in as well. Sammy Watkins isn't me, or does he only go off week one and then he just disappears?
Yep.
So I'll take my chances
every year.
week one. Yeah. So sign me up for Sammy Watkins week one. After that we'll reassess. But quickly moving on.
Sammy Watkins has only burned me.
What's that, Johnny?
Sammy Watkins, whether I drafted him like back in his first few years in the league or play him in a DFS lineup, the only thing that guy has done is burn me.
Not week one.
They can do with
well,
it.
Take him week one and win some money, and then never take him again. Tight ends, really quick. I don't love, besides Kelsey, obviously, I don't love all the tight ends, top tier tight ends in the slate. Love Dallas Goedert though. This guy is a little bit further down the list. He's going to be the Eagles' main target this week. I think they look to get him going early. Not Goddard. I love Zach Ertz. And if you're looking for a sleeper tight end, I know I'm moving really quick now, but Irv Smith Jr. is way down there, and I think he'll be an immediate impact in that defense at the get-go. If we're going to talk defense, I always choose cheap defenses. I don't like spending money on defenses in DFS, only if I really have to. So further down the list, I'm looking at Jets, Dolphins, and Lions as my defenses this week to build around. You take a defense that cheap, the rest of your lineup you can be pretty stacked. Whew! Was that quick enough?
That was good. Jack, you want to follow that up? Or you want me to?
All you, gang. You got this, bud.
All right, I'll take this. We'll go back to the top with quarterback here. I mean, Dan already mentioned a guy I'm looking at week one just for you take that Raider Charger game, you expect shootout, you expect big points. A guy like Derek Carr for 7,400, you're not overspending on quarterback there. You're getting a guy that is probably going to push 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. Could even go over both of those numbers in a game like this. It's the right number. He says he doesn't hate Mitch. I'm going to keep the Colts train running today. Matt Ryan against Houston for under $7,000 is also really not a bad pick at all, too. It's a cheaper version where it opens up more money at your skill positions if you do want to go that route. I don't hate it. As for the running backs, I knew right where Dan was going. That's where I'm going. Alvin Kamara, 8,500 is arguably the cheapest you might get him all year. His ADP being down because of this whole thing that he's not even going to get suspended for this year. If he does, it won't be until next year. Is just giving you his best value you'll get on FanDuel probably all season. And the fact that it's against a shitty Atlanta team, a shitty Atlanta defense there is – I'm expecting 20, 25 pluses from Kamara and, 150 scrimmage yards and multiple scores is not out of the question for him. And for 8,500, that's in that Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor price range if he gives you that. So you take that for, over $1,000 less all day. I'm going to go with one of my giant guys here too. I think Saquon is at 6,800, maybe the cheapest you get him all year too, because if he is healthy again and can go back to his old self, if he catches a few passes, has a good game on the ground, you're not getting him for under 7,000 again at all this year. So you got him for 6,800 this year. That's good value right there. That opens the door to bring in, like you say, stack yourself elsewhere. I think that's worth it. And if you wanted my sleeper, as I scroll down the list here, here's my thing with week one. I tend to fail week one, but I think there's value there that you won't find. And actually, I'll go against my Colts here, but Dameon Pierce for 5,400 with Marlon Mack cut. If he turns out to be the guy in Houston, he's going to get his touches. He's going to see probably 15 to 20 touches. And you'll realize if you do daily fantasy as you go week to week, a guy that's guaranteed to get 15 to 20 touches, unless, there's a last second injury and opens the next guy up, they ain't starting their salary at 5,400. So that volume for that price feels very worth it to me. He's a guy to look for if you want to save money. On the receivers, if we want to spend 8,500 top receiver in FanDuel this week, me and Dan love his quarterback. I know it's his first game with him, even though they played together at college, but Devontae Adams, we talked about stacking in daily earlier in this episode, and to stack Devontae Adams and Derek Carr feels like a good move here in a game we're expecting a lot of points. As for a receiver, kind of mid-range, Dan hit it all. The Mike Williams, the Allen Lazards, the Juju Smith-Schusters, the DJ Moores. I love all those guys. Me personally, if you held the gun to my head and told me to pick one, Juju for his 6,400 in a game that I think will be a shootout against the Arizona Cardinals feels like the best bet for that value. I know it's a new team and a new quarterback, but I do think Juju is to be the number one guy there. Kind of take that Tyreek Hill spot. And, we've been saying a lot in this podcast coming up to it. People forget how good Juju really was his first 2 years before he kind of got hurt and Ben really started to downgrade there in Pittsburgh. He's only 26 years old. I think he can get back to that form, if not even better, with Mahomes throwing him the ball. And as for the flyer wide receiver, for $5,000, Chris Olave is there against that shitty Atlanta defense too. Jameis Winston did throw 5 touchdowns last week in week one, and that was against the Packers, whose defense I honestly love, and definitely love going into last year. Now he's got Atlanta. Jameis is here. Jameis is throwing, 3-4 touchdowns against his team week one. I think Chris Olave as a rookie is going to find a way to get in there, and him for $5,000 is an absolute steal. You can almost get whoever you want after that point. And as for my tight end, we talked about him earlier. I drafted him part of this shootout I just talked about, but Zach Ertz in that Kansas City, Arizona game, if they want to trade punches and trade touchdowns, I think the door Hopefully he plays. He's questionable. I don't think it's anything serious. Don't remember reading too much into it. But if he plays, the door's wide open for him to score this week.
I like all that game. So I'm gonna just dive in quickly on mine. You guys obviously hit a lot, but then I kind of want to start another conversation about between cash games and tournament play, because you got to play those games completely different. But my main guy for a quarterback is Kyler. You guys touched all the points, and you got to attack high scoring games, and Kyler's going to be a part of that. If you wanted to go very cheap, I kind of like Justin Fields just because of his rushing floor, but that's a little risky for me.
Rushing quarterbacks.
Of course, the rushing quarterback. Yeah, well, my first pick was Kyler, but I'd rather attack the high scoring team, so Kyler would be on my board. And then I'm going to hit running back real quick, and I got James Conner. It's actually pretty cheap and a part of that high scoring offense as well, high scoring team. A couple other, I actually like Aaron Jones a lot, especially if you're playing more on DraftKings because it's full point PPR. But I think he could get a lot of catches, and he's going to be good for that.
Fun fact, I'm banned from DraftKings.
Oh, you're banned from DraftKings? Both of you getting banned from everything over here. But then receivers, I'm just going to touch on these quickly because you guys kind of hit all the main ones. I like Mike Williams a lot. But Hollywood, I think, could actually have a very strong start. Like we're talking about this high scoring game. Hollywood's only at 6,900. And I think from here, he's going to go up until Hopkins is back at least. So he's one guy I'm definitely targeting. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think the Eagles might pull away from this, and they're just going to throw a lot. And then there's also some stat about the perimeter for Eagles. They are very good corners over there. So I think Amon-Ra could attack the middle, and Jared Goff could just hit that all day. Then for tight end, I know you guys don't like this, but Kyle Pitts. He is the fifth highest tight end, and Kyle Pitts could actually kill it, and then his price is just going to skyrocket, I think. But the last tight end I kind of want to touch on is Robert Tonyan. I think if you're going to go cheap, you got to attack touchdown upside. And if you look 2 years ago, he had so many touchdowns. So
especially when Lazard's out too, that increases.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Tonyan could catch a touchdown or two, especially for the price of 5,100. It's not bad. But that's really my main thing. You guys kind of hit all of my guys that I wrote down. But the main conversation I want to talk about is when you go from cash games to tournament play, how does your strategy change? Because when you're going tournament play for like 100 people, you've got to go a little different and stack a lot and stuff like that. Is there anything you guys have on that?
I definitely go more chalk, for the less big tournaments, for the more cash games. I'll go more chalk. We have a saying, I run Dollar Boys, but we also have Chalk Boys, as we like to make fun of a lot of guys for taking some chalk. But if we're talking, big tournaments, it's okay to have chalk in the big tournaments too, but you want to have the right chalk, and then you want to just have obviously that one filler that just goes off, and a guy that's not expecting. One sleeper I didn't get to mention, completely forgot about this guy, is Hunter Renfrow this week. He's priced under $6,000 too. That game we're talking about, shootouts and stacking. All my lineups that I have Derek Carr in, if I'm not taking Devonta Adams, Renfrow is definitely the next guy up that I'm building around. But for example, if I'm in a tournament with less guys, or like a Dollar Boy tournament, how my friends and I run every Sunday just against each other, I'm just taking the most value at each position. I'll construct my lineups thinking I'll go down the list and say, all right, who's the cheapest guy that has the most value? And I pretty much build my lineups around that. And once I have my lineups, then I'll play around with my remaining money. And if it's a cash league, with not that many people, yeah, I'm probably going as chalk as possible with the lineups with the matchups that have the most potential points, that week. If it's a high scoring game, then I'm most likely going to choose, a player in that game.
That's me on a second. I don't know what happened to my internet before you drifted back in. I don't know if you asked him a question that you were looking for between chalk or whatever here.
No, I was just talking about the difference between cash games and tournament plays. Like if you're going 1v1 or a slate of 3 compared to going against 100 people, how do you attack that differently?
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, you go 1v1, I think you can go chalk, you play it safe, you hope for the best. In terms of those tournaments, my biggest strategy with daily fantasy, it's almost the same, kind of no matter what. As Dan said, I'm looking for high scoring games. Like, if I think it's to be a high scoring game, I'm going to try to find value with some players there to start with. And then, open up some salary, have some spots open, and really fill in my studs with the salary I have left and kind of use what I think is the best matchups available and, fill those in with that. It I always start from the bottom and try to work my way up. Like, defense I'll go to right away just so I can be looking at my average salary, and I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. I'll literally go all the way to the bottom, start scrolling up, and the first defense I see that I say, you know what? Maybe they can kind of keep this team in check a little bit. I'll click them, and that's it. I'm done scrolling. And, like I said, essentially work for there. Look at the games, think high score in there, try to find a couple values, and then it's all about filling in my studs after that. I usually do kind of go to quarterback first after defense also, because we talked about stacking. Once I know my quarterback that I think is the best situation that I take with, I do usually try to get one of their receivers or tight ends. I want to make sure I usually stack almost every week in daily fantasy. That feels crucial.
Yeah, there's a rare occasion where I'll love all the top studs, the highest price guys of the week. I'll love them all, and I'll I'll start my lineups with them, and I'm like, all right, how can I make a lineup with all these guys in it? Like, how can I make a top heavy lineup and make it work? And I'll find value. And some weeks it works. Some weeks I'll make these crazy lineups. I'm like, yeah, that's the winner right there. And other weeks, you gotta shift it around and make it work. So I guess it all depends on week to week and the price tags on each player. But as far as strategy, there's not one strategy that works. That's why I'm putting in 30, 40 lineups week 1, because there's nothing, there's no key that's going to turn the lock, So it's a gamble. It's we can only pick our top players and make lineups accordingly from there and hope for the best. But then that's why I also like to throw in guys like Doobie, who may go off for 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to hope for things like that, and you got to play those guys that nobody else is playing, no matter the tournament you're in, because that is how you're going to win. And now I'm looking at my sheet more and more, and I'm loving the Mitch Trubisky pick more and more. I'm talking myself into that, and I'm definitely going to build.
I think you're hurting yourself by doing that.
No, it's I only had one lineup with him, and now I'm just thinking about all the lineups I can make with him, and I'm liking it. But
and Mitch,
yeah.
Like, I know week 1, we know that's a crapshoot. I just can't find myself to ride Mitch week 1 as my daily fantasy quarterback. Can't do it.
And honestly, I don't expect anybody to, and that's why I expect him to be like 1% owned. And if he does go off, I may be sitting here with $1 million next time we come on here, Sean.
All right.
Just crazy enough to work. Real quick before we sign off, something I want to keep track of. I know everybody's in one. Survival pools. It's the newest biggest thing. I feel like my mom's in one. My grandma used to be in one. It's anybody that doesn't watch football thinks that it's easy to pick one game a week. So who are you guys thinking? Week 1 survival pool. I already done all my thinking. I know who I'm taking. But I want to see who you guys are thinking.
I went with Gank's MVP champ, Indianapolis Colts, going against Houston. I think that might be the chalk pick, but I think they'll take it easy.
So when you guys pick survival pool picks, do you take in account the rest of that team's schedule, like down the line? Like, do you look at their schedules, like saying like, all right, where would I take this guy where would I take this team if I don't take them this week?
I more look at the win totals, and so I don't think the Colts are like that favored of a team. So that's kind of where I took that. And I honestly, I aim at the worst team. Like I look at who's Houston playing. I was looking at who the Jets are playing, who's the Bears playing. That's usually my strategy.
That's obviously. No, go ahead, Shonny. Go ahead.
The first, I did a survivor pool. I've done a lot. The first I ever made it, I'm talking a pool that started with 200 plus people. Me, my brother, and my father all chipped in for like a $250 fee on this, and we were in like final 8 or 9. We made it to week 13. It was the farthest I ever made in a survivor pool, but I kind of run the same strategy. Like, I actually try not to look ahead too much. Like, I'm trying to take just the safest bet almost no matter what. I try to avoid road teams. The thing that's tough with that is week 1, the NFL right here, and you got 10 home teams that are underdogs. So I'm with Jack. The Colts are actually my go-to pick for a survivor pool this week to start. I do think the Colts have a lot of winnable games on their schedule. Yes, there's probably better options, but week 1 is also one of the toughest weeks to pick too as well. And I think you just got to pick whatever you feel is the safest. I look at point spreads a lot too with it because, you can look ahead all you want, but it doesn't matter. It's a week-to-week thing. If you want to try to plan it ahead, play something this week, trying to plan ahead to next week, and you fucking lose this week, well, next week's never a thing anyway. So I think you got to pick what you think is the most obvious win. I don't think you need to look ahead too much. The best I've ever done in survivor pools is not trying to look too far ahead and just try to play the safest chalk pick you got in front of you. And, you'll see your teams will cross it off. You're going to have to win a dice roll or two eventually, but Colts are my pick this year or this week, and that's how I want to start.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I think I read a stat. It's like most people do get eliminated week 1 in survival pools. It's the hardest week to survive just because you don't know what teams are actually going to be. You don't know who's actually going to be bad. You don't know who's going to be good. There's so many upsets that can happen. So many teams are still trying to figure out, about themselves. So it's hard for us to figure out about them. I am one though that overthinks everything when it comes to fantasy sports. So of course I look ahead early. And a team I'm taking.
They're the reason why I don't look ahead. Let the other people make the mistake.
Well, so here's what I do. I pick, 4 or 5 games that week that, heavy favorites that should win. And then I take those 5 teams and I look at their head schedules and say, all right, where would I take these guys again? And, I'll go to the week that I would possibly take them, down the line. And then I would see, are there any other teams that week I would take instead of that team? And then I would keep thinking and, whatever. So I got the pick I'm picking for week 1 is the Denver Broncos. And it's mainly because the rest of their schedule for the rest of the year is really hard. And I don't see any games that are penciled in as guaranteed wins, other than their week 1 and week 2 for them, which is against Seattle and Houston, respectfully. I think they go into Seattle. Russell Wilson doesn't lose to his old team. There's no way that happens. I'm not afraid of that.
Denver is my number 2 choice this week. So
yeah, I'm not afraid of them playing on the road. I'm not afraid of them as a team. I think Russell Wilson comes out and makes a statement game 1. And I just don't like the rest of their schedule down the line. So that's how I came up with that pick. But
so you don't like Denver against Houston next week?
Well, no, I had somebody else for next week. I did my due diligence, and week 2 I like somebody else. So we'll get to week 2 next week.
I like it. Yeah, I just look at the better team.
Yeah, no, it's
he's taking the Niners next week.
Oh, against Seattle.
I don't think actually.
We go rock
I'll
Trey
give you a
Lance.
sneak. I may be jinxing. I may be jinxing myself. Week 1, but week 2 I do have San Fran. Yes. So yeah.
They wait for week 2 to do the 2 Monday night games. That's fucked.
I thought it was week 1, but
No, it usually is, but there's 2 Monday night games next week. All right, boys. Well, football
I
season
think
starts.
I think we should do it.
48 hours we're kicking off. Dan, we got a draft tonight. Jack.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Trey Lance. I gotta go do the BS show though before I beat Dan's ass in this next draft.
Get ready, Sean. This is
We're
an
kind of
intense one.
close to each other. 9-12 ain't too far off. So
Elimination League, lowest score each week goes home. So it's intense. It's a lot of strategies to take in here. So I don't even know where to start. Honestly, there's no strategy that's clear cut. A favorite, and I was talking to a lot of guys in the league, and it seems like everybody's doing something different. So it's gonna be fun to see how it plays out.
it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens. But we'll be back next week. We'll have fantasy updates. All our leagues are all either be 1-0 or 0-1 or knocked out of Dan's Gay Team League. A little preview. Me and Jack got each other week 2 in the fantasy football season next week. So
So at least I got week 2 wrapped up in the bag.
easy.
We'll see.